If you don't use it, will you lose it? I'm talking about sexual intercourse and your vagina. So many of you guys have asked me, you said, Dr. Jen, I don't have sex often. I haven't had sex for a long time, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever the situation might be, if I don't use my vagina in this way for a long time, could I lose it? You ask. And that's a really great question. I'm going to answer that question today. I'm going to tell you what can happen. If you don't use your vagina for a while in terms of sexually, with sex, UL intercourse, guys, I'm Dr. Rena, practicing family physician, on-air health expert, and video creator. I want to start by busting a couple of myths that you guys have asked me about that I've seen on the Goog Smuggler. Number one is I'm seeing and I'm sort of giving you the answer, right? But I'm seeing people online saying things like your hymen will regrow or grow back if you don't have sexual intercourse for a while. So let me first of all debunk that one because that is not true, okay? Once the hymen is altered from sexual intercourse or whatever, because other things that can alter the hymen, no, it doesn't regrow, or grow back or things like that. So no, that's not the case. Even if you don't have sex for a long time, your hymen does not regrow. Okay, the other thing that I've seen online that you guys might be wondering about is people have asked, hey, if I don't have sex for a long time, is it true that my vagina will close up? And maybe that's what people mean when they say, if you don't use it, will you lose it? Well, good news here, guys, is nope, it's not going to close up, okay? Okay. There are situations where a vagina can close up, but this is not necessarily one that I think of. So it's not going to close because you're not having sex, all right? So I hope that that's helpful, but let me tell you what can and may happen if you don't have sex for a while. And by the way, I should say, it's perfectly fine to do whatever is right for you. This video is not a video advocating for sex. Now, there are tons of benefits of sex, from intimacy to stress reduction. I'm going to some of these later, to perhaps improve sleep, so many other things, right? Mental health reasons, whatever. But this is the thing. You know, look, everybody has a different preference, a different style, a different, even libido. So what you choose for you is your choice. And whatever you choose is okay. All right. But let me go back. So we're G2. Now we're going to jump into the me of this video, which is about what happens to your vagina. If you don't have sex for a long time, I decided to do this video because a lot of you guys wrote in comments of my other videos. You guys remember the video on what happens to your vagina as you age. I also have the video on vaginal dryness. The video about vaginal dryness came up from a lot of the comments you put on the video, what happens to your vagina as you age. And on the vaginal dryness one, a lot of you guys said, hey, if I don't use my vagina, will I lose it? So first of all, thank you all for all your comments. Take a look at those videos. If you have not, by the way, just DM me. If you can't find the links, I'll put them in the description. But first thing, let's just jump right in now. Okay, first thing that can happen if you do not have sexual intercourse for a while is that your vagina can experience decreased elasticity. So what is elasticity? You know, you think about something as almost being able to snap back, being able to stretch, being malleable, right? And if you're not sexually active for a while, you could experience decreased elasticity, meaning it's not as malleable, pliable, it's not as stretchy. It doesn't give the way it would, or perhaps does, when you're more sexual active. Okay, now one thing I should say, and I didn't realize this until I was going back and editing the video, but sometimes this decreased elasticity can cause either discomfort, pain, etc. With sexual intercourse. May not cause anything. You may not notice anything. But some people may find that it feels a little different, or may feel a little bit uncomfortable maybe at first, or maybe for a little while. First of all, I should say that pain, discomfort with intercourse always need to be evaluated by your doctor. You should really get that checked out, but just understand that elasticity could do that. How much decreased elasticity occurs really depends on the woman. Also probably depends on whether you are premenopausal or postmenopausal as well, because things like vaginal dryness and thinning of the vaginal walls, which can happen in and postmenopausal women, can contribute to that elasticity. And younger women or women who are premenopausal may not experience it to the same degree, but decreased elasticity definitely can happen. You certainly can bounce back with sexual activity, but how long it takes to bounce back, how much you bounce back, probably depends on your age, and so many other factors. But yes, that is one thing that can happen. Your vagina becomes less elastic if you are not using it. with sexual intercourse. Okay. The other thing that can happen, okay, is some people say that actually, and I say some people, some experts say that if you don't have sex for a long time, your libido will actually go down. That is your desire for sex. Okay, now some women experience this. Some women experience an increased interest in sex. They haven't had sex for a long time, and the interest for it really just kind of fades. Okay, I have plenty of patients who've said this. I also have patients, though, on the other side who feel that their libido has gone up. The lack of sex has actually, or whether it's that or other factors, but with the lack of sex, they feel more sort of interested in sex. Okay, so I think one of either of those can happen. Your libido may not change at all, but you could also experience a decreased interest in sex or desire for sex, but you could also have an increased libido or desire for sex as well. I think that's a thing. And then let's go to some of the other things that can happen when you don't have sex for a while. This is not necessarily affecting the vagina per se, but your whole body. Remember that sexual activity, intimacy is important for our well-being. Not just sexual intercourse, right? But intimacy and connection with other people, your partner or having a partner that does a lot for our soul. Not just our body, but our soul as well. Also, sex can also relieve stress. Being an anxiety reducer may help with sleep, may do so many other things. But let's also talk about stress and anxiety around the active sex. Many of you actually have written in on the comments saying you haven't had sex for a long time. And the thought of being sexually active after having not been sexually active for a long time actually makes you nervous, makes you anxious. And so specifically, I think, and I've seen this with patients, and you guys have told me this too, not having sex for a long time, I think could cause some anxiety in some of us when, say, jumping back in the saddle, okay, simply because, hey, you haven't done it in a while now. Is that a natural feeling or natural emotion if you feel that way? Absolutely right. Anytime we kind of do something new or do something we haven't done in a long time, it'd be like if I didn't drive for a long time and then got back in, behind the wheel, I'd be a little nervous, right? So if that's how you feel, that's okay. And that seems plenty natural, okay? But yeah, not having sex for a while and then you could feel nervous about that, right? Another thing that can happen after not having sex for a while is it could take more for you to get aroused. You may not be able to get aroused at the same speed and sort of tempo, et cetera, that you could before. Okay, not everybody will experience this, but plenty of people do experience after long periods of absence where their time to arousal is longer. And maybe what they require to become aroused is different, right? Might take more or take less. It's just a different thing. So don't be surprised if arousal in the state of getting aroused changes as you go longer and longer with absence. Okay. Also, other people talk about, and I guess this sort of goes with a decreased elasticity. There can be a tightness to the vagina, but again, I think that's just another way of describing decreased elasticity, decreased stretchiness, and stuff that I mentioned in the beginning about things that can happen when you simply have had passional intercourse for a while. Okay, these are just a few things that can happen as you go for a long period of time without having sex. Once again, it's perfectly fine to go for a while without having sex. If that's your choice, okay. You're not going to lose your vagina. It's not going to cease working. It's not going to close up. You will not regrow a hymen. I don't want, and also as many of you guys have written and asked about this, there also seems, and maybe I'm just sort of rejecting, but I've sensed almost like a sense of shame. And I have to say, many of the men who've written on comments on my videos have been very supportive. But some people, whether men or women, have been negative about the concept of not having sex for a long time on the part of the woman. I want to make sure that there is no shame surrounding this. Do not be shamed or feel shamed if this is you. It is okay to be absent. It is okay to go long periods without having sex. It's okay to never go any periods without having sex. If you are someone who has sex every day, twice a day, that is okay too. But what I don't want is I don't want to see shame, and I don't want you to feel shamed. Okay, it's okay. It is. And what I would say is there are certain medical conditions and things that can cause problems with your vagina, cause the opening to the vagina to feel more stenos or close up for medical reasons. If you have any concerns and you're saying, gosh, something doesn't seem right, see your OB/GY and your doctor right away. Okay, this video is just for a little bit of food for thought. Your doctor really should be the one guiding you through